The Bat Chat.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bat Chat. I am Captain Logan.
And I'm Steve.
And I'm Eric.
And Eric is back. I like how you're in the room with me, and that sounded and that was laggier than Steve. And I'm Steve, and like we're waiting for Eric as if he's still in Florida.
Well, you know. I'm excited for milkshakes. Mudslide, right? Milkshakes?
Yeah,
That's what we're doing?
No, sorry, Clayface.
Oh.
Clayface, Eric.
Oh.
But we could have gotten mudslides.
We could have gotten mudslides.
While we were watching Mudslide, but we didn't have that kind of forethought. Today we're going to watch and talk about the second Clayface episode, Mudslide, Return of Clayface. Steve, right before we get into this, do you feel the same way about this as you did the first Clayface episode, or are you somewhat indifferent towards it?
I remember watching this episode exactly one time, so I have no idea.
Wow, yeah.
We'll see.
I had only seen it once before also. I watched it last week in preparation for this, but we didn't get together when we were hoping to, so I don't know how... I don't right off even remember a lot about it. It's not memorable.
And I don't know if I've ever
kind of
seen
throwaway.
it. I guess I'll find out when we start watching.
Well, cool. Awesome. The thing that it's of course, most comparable to is the Return of Man-Bat episode.
Oh,
And,
okay.
It's got kind of some parallels with that. But anyway, so... But we don't have a female Clayface at the end of it. Which I was kind of waiting for it to go to that place where it's like, and then his girlfriend or his wife or whatever becomes Clayface. Anyway, so if you want to watch it with us, go to Amazon Prime or get your DVDs out. Make sure you're watching the correct episode, because if you're watching last week's episode, this will make no sense whatsoever. Get it to timestamp 0. Get ready to press play when I say now. And is everybody ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Eric, are you ready to press
I'm ready.
play? All right. Everybody, please press play right now. Now, Steve, I know you haven't seen this in a long time, so what do you think of this whole bit?
I think it opens very strongly for about 20 seconds.
Well, I'll say, at least as a kid, I don't know if I have an opinion now, I never liked Clayface. I like that opening two-parter. I like the character stuff and things like that. As a kid, I always thought Clayface felt like a Superman villain. He felt too powerful for Batman.
Well,
I never had the too powerful thing, but I've never particularly cared for Clayface except for the Batman's version, and only their first version. Their second one's kind of boring.
When he really just kind of changes his face. Or like he can change his identity. It's more of a mystique-y kind of thing.
Yeah,
Right.
thematically, it's a really good idea for a Batman villain because of his being an actor and being theatrical and the identity questions.
But we use him like a big monster, and he like throws slime. I don't know. As a kid, I always felt like that was out of Batman's wheelhouse.
Maybe less.
Ooh, that's a really nice one.
Yeah, it's a good title card. Maybe less is more with Clayface. Perhaps we should have more stories where he's doing the Mystique thing and pretending to be different people. And the stories that I've always found most compelling with that character are when you don't even know it's him for a long time.
Oh yeah.
The reveal at the end of Arkham City that he's been, I think it's Arkham City, or is it?
It's City.
It's City.
I didn't play none of that.
Where
Spoilers.
I'm just making sure that I'm right about that. Where he has been pretending to be Joker for a long time is fascinating.
And Growing Pains, which is his last episode in New Adventures, you don't know it's him until the very end, and that's really good.
I haven't seen that in so long. I forgot all about that.
Not so much with Hush.
So Steve, I don't remember the episode, but there's one that you and I have already talked about where it opens like this. I think it's at the beginning, and there's a security guard that's reading a comic book like that, but it's Tiny Toons.
Was that in this?
And no, but the reason I'm bringing that up is because here you've got a guy that's reading just a blank pages, and there's nothing on it at all. And I'm like, why not put something on there?
When I read, I
Look,
like
there's
there to be
nothing
nothing
there.
at all.
There's nothing more satisfying than just a pile of blank pieces of paper in your hand.
And there's nothing
Give
more
him a
satisfying
pencil.
than
Let him draw in it.
there's nothing more satisfying than writing and it's just squiggly lines.
Oh, you mean early Kryptonian language?
No, I meant like whatever like cartoon characters write in a diary
Oh.
or something. It's always just like scribbles, not even like assembling letters.
Batman's famous last words. It looks like a slow night, Alfred.
So Bruce Timm has said that the reason they don't
What is
use
it,
Clayface
Thanksgiving? And he says your goose is cooked, and I love that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
It's fine. Apparently Bruce Timm said that the reason they don't use Clayface a lot, he's only in 4 episodes if you count the two-parter as two, is because he's really expensive to animate.
Oh
That
yeah.
makes sense.
And
That
you
makes
can
sense,
see
but
it,
that's always bugged me about it because it goes back to that thing we said earlier. Just like it seems as if Clayface shows up and we want to go all out with him. I don't know why having him show up should necessitate you needing a big animation budget. Just do something subtle with him.
But because this is often such an action-heavy show, I can see why they would always want that big, money scene. And he's one of those characters, Steve, that they probably wanted to go with because they can do more violent things since he's not a regular flesh and blood person.
And they can do creepy things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, I don't know. It feels like it would be better to get because he already has 3 big episodes where he shows up and shapeshifts a lot. It'd be nice to have like a couple episodes where he's just kind of there in the background. Like there's an episode of The Batman where Solomon Grundy shows up and it turns out it's just Clayface at the end. Like you could do something like that.
That's totally fair. And he could be part of a larger plot. Clayface doesn't have to be a mastermind character.
Isn't there one in New Adventures where he has like weird kids?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's Growing Pains. That's the other episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That is disturbing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of when I was like, we go to dark places.
Can we all agree, though, that his design is so cool?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
Just the super big pile face. The pile face, Eric.
And is he still Ron Perlman?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't because he changes. I think in New Adventures.
I think so. Maybe.
I just know that he's one of the characters that's voiced by a couple of people. I didn't know if Ron Perlman only did the first appearance or if he does this one as well.
Well, I know Michael Rosenbaum does him at one point, but that might be
I
Injustice.
didn't know that.
Yeah, Michael Rosenbaum fills in a lot for a lot of these shows. But that might be in Justice League because Flash is already there.
Mm.
I can actually totally see that voice cast. Something I always wonder with characters like this, with Clayface and Sandman, shapeshifty type characters that can like break themselves apart or kind of liquefy. How much of them can they lose before they're able to pull themselves together to a human-looking form again? How much of that is important and necessary?
I mean, that opens up lots of weird questions of like, if a piece separates and there are now 2 Clayfaces, which is the real one, and is he even capable of having an identity if he can fall apart like that?
Yeah, and is he still himself if, whichever one is the real one, or are either of them the same person?
Clayface is a lot like Star Trek Transporters, where, depending on how you explain it, you're opening up a big can of identity and philosophy questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
You never want to think too much about it.
This violin music is sappy, and I don't care, actually. It kind of works.
This isn't that bad so far. I'm kind of digging it.
Look, we've all been out on the street.
It's gonna get weird here in a minute, though, Steve.
And feel like we're falling apart and needed somebody to come pick us up.
It's true, Eric. There's a metaphor. We can all resonate with that to some degree.
It's Boulevard of Broken Dreams, 7 years before that song was written.
So is Wonderwall.
Hey, Steve, wake me up when September ends, pal.
I love that.
I gotta go home and get in my Jell-O mold.
He looks really good in this episode.
Yeah, he does.
He looks better than in Feet of Clay.
They should. Thank you. I was this whole time trying to remember the name of that episode, and I feel dumb because that's such an obvious episode title. They should have. They should have made this the Play-Doh mold where you can make Clayface.
No, they had those toys. I remember they had.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they had Clayface toys where you had a bag and you put water in a mold and you emptied the bag of dirt in and you could make a Clayface. They did the same thing with a bunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures from the 2003 show, except it was goo and you could mold them into different mutant pieces.
Oh, I remember those.
Yeah, I had the Clayface version of that.
That's cool.
Except it wasn't this orangish brownish Clayface. It was gray, I think.
So when we get to the end of this, there's going to be a big ethical question about how Batman handles this whole thing.
Oh boy.
So just wait for that.
Morally
definitely have
questionable
seen this
Batman
episode.
is
I
my
remember
favorite.
the kind of Art Deco-y Clayface.
Yeah.
I like how blue he looks from the computer light.
Yeah.
Look at
This
that
whole
blue
episode's
Batman.
lit kind of well. It's kind of distracting, but nice.
I don't know why, but I always feel like Batman is or this Gotham is more of a 1940s or 1950s Gotham whenever Clayface shows up.
Yeah, it feels like it'd be more of a serial style story as opposed to what we're usually getting in this time period.
And I think I partly am thinking that just because he's an actor and television and movies in this are black and white.
That was
Yeah.
a pretty risky joke from Alfred.
What do you say?
I said he said perhaps she enjoys mud baths.
You're right. You're right.
But no, to your point, also the movie posters with Clayface in them look really
Yes.
1930s and 40s.
So, what are the odds that Matt Hagen played this role before he became Clayface?
Well, I mean, would you
Where
say that
he
about
has a-
Nick Cage? If
he
Nick
has a
Cage
face
like got
change.
somebody else's face?
Yes, I would. Well, the difference is Nick Cage has to have made more movies than Matt Hagen could have made before this happened.
Well, if
There's
we're
no way
going-
he made more than 5 or 6 movies before that happened to him. Look how
If we're
young
going
he
to
is.
the 1940s or 60s example, he might have made hundreds of movies.
Yeah, we used to make
Okay,
movies
that's a good point.
a lot. Hey, it was a Warner
And I love
Brothers
that that's a
film.
Warner Brothers logo. And because they put that touch in, it irritates me more that the security
paper.
guard at the beginning isn't reading anything.
Of all the things you could watch, why would you watch one of his movies if you know he's touchy about that?
Especially if he's in the next room.
And he just conveniently was listening the whole time, and then. showed
Well, I
up
think
in
he
the
might have been
film?
walking by.
It's so
Okay.
convenient that it just happened to be the end of the movie.
I feel like animation just dipped in quality real hard. Like
Oh,
he's
that's a
moved-
good point. I do kind of like that you have this contrast where the movie that he's in ends in a really happy ending, and of course he's going to continue to be a really tragic character, and it's not going to end that way for him. And he's afraid that it can't possibly. So the idea here is, for anybody like you guys that hasn't seen this in a long time, is that he can wear this suit and keep himself together and solid forever, but he can't feel. And he doesn't want to have to do that.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably a nice touch. I wish this was another one of those episodes that had more runtime, just so we could cash in on more of those parallels and motifs and like actually turn it into something.
Yeah, but then you complain that the first two Clayface episode was 2 parts because you didn't want to have to watch the whole thing.
But that's because they didn't have anything interesting there in those
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel like
fair.
there's more going on here emotionally than just a Two-Face ripoff, as opposed to Feet of Clay, which was just that.
You know, that's fair.
In
In hindsight, it's maybe too bad that wasn't one in this-
He's
wasn't
got his career, and then he's got his new body mold, and like there's lots of moving parts in here that are unique to it that aren't there in Feet of Clay.
Yeah, and I think he's pretty sympathetic. I mean, this is a guy that you want to see be able to get his life back.
Maybe I don't know. I feel like we don't know him enough before he's Clayface to really say that. He's just like he turned into Clayface, and now he's a jerk about it because he doesn't want to be Clayface. But I don't know if he was a jerk before that.
Okay, that's fair. I guess I just mean in the context of this episode where you got 22 minutes and you couldn't give us a lot of background.
Yeah, and I mean to be fair, no
You're
one
just
should be
responding
condemned
to-
turn into a clay monster.
Exactly. Like, I guess I'm just responding to in you know, the fact that inherently
Yeah.
somebody that has this going on, you kind of want to root for them.
I guess it's just a matter of like, I want to be sympathetic for him, but then he keeps doing things that are just super villainy, and the sympathy gets lost.
I've always thought Mr. Freeze is the same thing.
Yeah, agreed. With Mr. Freeze, I could see it a little bit more because I feel like he is more along the lines of he just doesn't care, and we feel bad because we made him not care. With Clayface, he just keeps doing bad things, and I don't want him to be happy if he's just going to keep doing bad things.
Steve, wasn't the Clayface formula originally also a Wayne Tech thing?
Yes, I think so.
Because he pretends to be Bruce Wayne and he kind of frames him
Wow, the animation really
at the beginning of that.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I mentioned that because I was gonna complain that this is a convenient way to get Batman involved in this, but that's kind of consistent. Like I like the idea that Wayne Enterprises also makes the isotope that he needs in order to solidify himself.
I think they make it, yeah. Because Lucius Fox is in that episode. He turns into Bruce Wayne for a little while. I think they make it.
Oh wait, no, they can't make the makeup stuff because that's.
He gets that from the mob, doesn't he?
Right, he gets that from the mob. So I forget what exactly it is he's after in that makes him turn into Bruce Wayne. But anyway, let's talk about this. That kid sounds hilarious, and there's no way that's actually a child doing that voice.
I don't know what it is about how they're drawing just Clayface as that woman. I mean, until she starts drooping. She looks really like 80s anime.
Yeah. Well, is this another anime studio? I don't think it is, but...
Or maybe it's... I'm finding myself wondering, and I don't know if this ever happened, Steve, if this was done by two different studios, because there... As you guys said earlier, I think we're really inconsistent about the animation quality throughout this.
It might also just be a budget thing. If like they want certain scenes to look good and they don't care about the others.
I love Clayface's head coming behind like that.
See, I would love it if
cool,
it was
that's a cool
smoother.
shot. Okay, I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
Go watch Terminator 2.
I think it's a cool image. It's just like he slides
Okay, fine.
so slowly.
I'll stop complimenting this episode for anything, Eric. No, I won't. Well, there might not be.
Hey, this is also in Terminator 2.
There's only so many ways you can deal with this problem, right?
It's freezing in between like that weird like mud fat flaps he has, like where his neck is.
Yeah,
that's
weird.
gross.
That is.
I like how he shatters there. That's kind of.
Why is he falling so slowly though?
Because he's frozen.
But you know, we've talked a lot about rain and water in this show. The ice, the jagged ice doesn't look great.
It looks better when Mr. Freeze is involved for some reason. I guess they just care more for that detail there.
Maybe they're working harder on it like they do with Clayface here.
Okay, this is starting to get... This is starting to drag. It's weird.
Pull yourself
it
together.
It should simultaneously be longer and shorter at the same time, or maybe just be more clear about what's going on scene to scene, because I'm starting to get bored.
Well, and again, that's that line that it walks a lot between trying to be a show that's about something and be a character show, and also be a adventure serial. So that's an adventure serial scene, kind of, except it's plotty.
Do you think Clayface is just too big an idea for this show? Because I feel like every time he shows up,
you think that. I'm not.
Do that.
I'm not as bothered by him in this as you are, but
I don't know. Every time he shows up, it just seems like there's 100 other things you could do, or you could do this so much better. And I don't know. It's always kind of dull to me because it feels like it's so shallow.
I also think that you might be reacting to it partly because there are other characters that are too much like him in different ways. Because you mentioned Two-Face, but like I said earlier, you've also got... There's so much about this as a sequel that reminds me of the Man-Bat thing.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Maybe I'm having the thing Eric's having where like I just don't care for Clayface as a Batman villain.
I think he works better, especially in the tone of the Superman animated series. I feel like he would fit in perfectly there.
Yeah, maybe. He's in Detective Comics right now, and I really don't like that. So,
I guess I'm having a hard time being critical of Clayface for some reason because I don't mind him there either.
That book has other problems for me, but like Clayface just felt like such a weird thing to throw in there, and then I don't think
I don't like how it's introduced. Him on that team has been kind of fun. He doesn't get a lot to do, but
yeah,
I guess I'm holding out and waiting for something to be done with it. Is the thing.
Yeah, that's fair. I dropped the book. I might just wait and see what the arc is like when it's all over. I'm
not sure if I'm going to stay with it either. Okay, so before we get into Batman's weird, well, I guess we'll just look at this and see what he does. Here's what I don't get. So he breaks the shell, but before that, she injects him while he's wearing the shell, and the shell starts to turn into his flesh again. I don't understand that. He shouldn't be in the shell thing when she's using that isotope on him, right?
Well, maybe it's supposed to hold him so that he could mold him, and then you take the shell off.
But what we see happen is the shell starts to transform with his phase, as if the shell itself is becoming part of him.
Well, but maybe he's changing, and the idea is that the shell will hold it in place long enough for it to set.
Maybe, but
because that's how you make like masks and stuff.
But what it should look like then is that it happens under the shell. When you take the shell off, you have the guy.
Well, maybe the shell is also part of the same material that forms him, so it just reacts with him.
See, I thought it was just a big piece of metal.
I don't know. I mean, just because it's colored the same, I just assume maybe
Yeah.
there's some connection between the two, but there might not be.
This is creepy. This whole thing he's about to do, jumping out of his face. They made the episode so they could do that.
Yeah. Just a few seconds ago, when there was that whole Batman coming out of his chest thing, it looks like Alien.
So here's my ethical question with this. Why not let him become Matt Hagen again?
Yeah, I don't know.
I do not understand why he felt the need to condemn him, probably to death, just because he stole something.
And with other characters like Two-Face, he will, as Bruce Wayne, give them what they need.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are entire episodes.
Well, you're right, and he owns the thing in the first place.
Yeah, it's his thing.
I'm sorry, what, Steve?
There are tons of episodes in the show, particularly where like he's on a particular criminal and trying to get them to change. So it's weird that he just won't do that with Clayface.
And there's no explanation for it. He just shows up and breaks as if he just runs in half-cocked, not even knowing what's going on.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. If you're fighting Clayface, you've got mud in your boots. That's going to take forever to clean. Like, he's not thinking straight because he's so angry.
I suppose that's possible.
He doesn't want to have to. Yeah, you're right. All these other villains that he's actually helping, they're not big monsters that he's ill-suited to fight.
He's probably got Clayface in like his pants and stuff, and his shirt and his gloves.
I want to use that soundbite out of context. Sir, you've got Clayface in your pants. Once again, Rain looks all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is that they do different than other animation, where, like, it's clearly just a filter on top of the picture. Like,
Right.
that's always what it is.
And just disappearing lines.
But there's something that they do about it that gives it dimension. It makes it feel like it's actually part of the scene.
I think they layer this better. Like, very clearly there is Rain in the background, Batman's hand, and then Rain in the foreground.
Yeah.
So it's
more
different
that.
elements. You've got elements in the front and elements in the back.
Yeah, maybe they just like spend more time layering the animation.
That was great.
I think one of the reasons that Steve, that I called Clayface sympathetic earlier is probably simply because I remember the end of this episode, and I feel bad for him because Batman kind of murders him.
Yeah, he doesn't deserve what Batman does to him.
I do not understand why Batman does that. And like the stakes just aren't high enough on Batman's side, on Batman's end.
And I'm still wondering, does Batman actually know
Isn't
what's
this just
going
theft?
Yeah.
It's kind of just theft. That's a cool house.
That is a cool house. It looks like Tony Stark's house.
It does a little bit.
I was just watching Iron Man 3 the other day, so that's on.
I thought you meant right now. I just happen to be watching Iron Man 3 while I'm watching this.
I mean, I should. I love
Iron Man 3 improves everything.
So, that's not a great episode.
Yeah, it's really generic in places, but it had so much potential.
Yeah, definitely. They don't go far enough with the identity stuff with Clayface. And I mean, again, less can be more. I don't think it has to be this huge exploration of that. It can. I mean, you don't want it to just introduce that idea and let it sit and do nothing with it. But you got 22 minutes and it is a kid's show. You don't want to be boring.
Although,
But you can hide it inside of an action thing, and they're not doing enough of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Clayface should be something that lends itself thematically very naturally to great stories, but I'm having a hard time thinking of any time we really justify that outside of one or two instances, and not even in the show.
I don't know if there are any great early Clayface stories.
There's a couple good Golden Age stuff, because Clayface was just a dude in a mask before he turned into liquid clay, and those are pretty good stories.
And one of my favorite Clayface things now, not that this is like a brilliant story or an idea thing or anything, is I like that the 66 comics take Falseface and turn him into Clayface.
Oh, that's cool. I haven't been keeping up with those.
And I want to say
It's over now. You can go get them a trade.
It's been a while since I've actually read it, but I liked the
I don't know if they're all out yet.
the introduction of Clayface 3 after the Marshall Rogers Englehart run.
Oh, yeah, I really like that too. And I also like some of the stuff we do with him in No Man's Land.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I did too.
Is Clayface 3 the Matt Hagen one, or does he have a different name?
I don't remember.
There are so many Clayfaces.
And I don't know
Yeah.
anything about the female Clayface.
There's a lot of Clayfaces, and when we adapt them, we just pull elements from all of them.
Right.
So I don't remember.
Yeah, because
The one-
they gave him that name, but
Clayface 3 is a
this,
cape. That's
but
what I
he's,
remember.
Yeah, he's got
He's
almost
the
like a
actor.
Jekyll and Hyde sort of uniform to him.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And he's got that really famous cover where like he's choking out Batman in a burning building. It's kind of cool.
Well, everybody, thanks so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again next time. What are we watching next time? Is it Crime Doctor? Paging the Crime Doctor.
Oh.
Steve's favorite episode.
My favorite character.
Steve loves paging the Crime Doctor. So we'll talk about that one for you next week. And in the meantime, I am Captain Logan.
I'm Steve.
And I'm Eric.
And thanks again for listening. Bye, folks.